Okay. All right. So, hi, everybody. This is Dr. Melissa Balizan, and today we are talking about take charge of your health, simple steps you can do today to take control of your physical and mental health. And my guest today is Elle Ingalls, and she is an expert on incorporating the fight or flight syndrome and the stress response. And so we're going to talk to her today. And so, Elle, welcome. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
me today. Thank you.
Oh, it's great to be here with you.
Excellent. And so, Elle, let's just tell people just a little bit about, why you're here, why you got into this profession.
Sure. It's a little crazy story, so I'll just give you the little snapshot that will be great for your audience, I think. I was creating a financial business in 2009 and put a mentor in my life. And he met with me, amazing guy, and he said, I've read your bio online and what you're doing is interesting, but I don't think it's what you should be doing. And I know my face probably fell, like, I've worked so hard on this, and he goes, just stay open. 2 nights later, my older 2 sons, we have 3 boys, my older 2 were playing on the same baseball team for high school. And they asked me to coach my mental toughness tips to their baseball team. And I thought they were joking, Melissa. I'm like, seriously? You want me in the dugout? And they did. They were serious. So I put these ideas together. My husband tightened up the language, put some baseball graphics in, and had a pamphlet. I took the pamphlet to the coaches. They were thoroughly supportive and said, you need to work with boys. And the head coach actually hired me to be his private coach. And then a week or like 2 days later, I was talking to my department chair at the college where I teach. And she found out what I was doing and literally pulled out her checkbook and she goes, I need what you have. Can I start tomorrow? And she wrote a check. And because I didn't even know what to charge her, honestly. I didn't know what to charge. I was like, I'm just figuring this out. I thought I'd just be working with baseball players,
Yeah.
So it was very organic. But it's literally 35 years, over 35 years of research and study on how to perform well. So my expertise is really on the fight or flight stress response and how to prevent it from ruining your life. And I had no idea that what I started back in 2010 would help people with disease. It would help them with cancer. It would help them gain promotions at work, start businesses and gain money. I thought I was just helping people be good when they go on stage, but that's not what I do anymore. I help people live really amazing lives. So that's how it got started.
That's wonderful. Wow, that's amazing. And so I'm guessing that you help more people. I know you elaborated a little bit more, but can you elaborate on how do you help people?
Yeah, sure. So we've built a really stressed society. I mean, it's all over the place. And now we've been in months of probably the biggest stressors we may hopefully ever see. But even before then, we have so many people on medication. My son is a Ivy League student at Columbia, and his ex-girlfriend goes to Harvard. And a third of the Harvard students, I don't know about Columbia, but a third of those high-achieving students are on anti-anxiety and antidepressants. That to me is like a crime. Why are so many people needing to self-medicate? And some people turn to the wine or turn to weed. They're turning to things to self-medicate every single night just to get to sleep. And that really tells me that there's something wrong with our society. There's really something deeply wrong. So I help people interrupt that stress response, that fight or flight stress response, and not release the stress hormones that literally cause us to feel more anxiety and put us in a state where pretty much for every woman walking around, you're always in the stress cycle at some point of it because of how long it lasts in our bodies. So for men, when they release the stress response, it takes their bodies up to 9 hours to dissipate those hormones out of the cells and they get back to normal. But for us women, it's up to 24-hour cycle.
Wow,
Isn't that crazy?
that's
It's
crazy.
so crazy. when I learned that, I cried actually, because I thought, when was the last time I was free of these nasty hormones? Probably maybe age 2. I don't know. I don't know if I ever had been until 2010. So I help people break the stress cycle. And in order to do that, you have to go a whole day without triggering the stress response, even for the smallest annoyance. So it sounds almost impossible. Like, people will come in and they'll say, my stress is off the charts. I don't know if you can help me, but I heard about you, right? And
Right.
I love the skeptics, because I'm like, okay, one step at a time. Here we go. And my tools are super simple, because and they need to be, so you can use them. And then when you have what I call the breakthrough day, you go that whole day without triggering the stress response at all. That's like the first night you get a quality sleep, probably in your whole life. And my clients will, I get messages the next morning like, I finally did it. And when I woke up this morning, I have the most energy I've ever felt in my life. Or they'll say, well, I woke up and I didn't hit the snooze button. I had one woman 2 weeks in, she said for 4 days in a row, she woke up naturally without, and felt good. So the stress cycle is the thing that's really messing up our lives. And by breaking it, I can't even predict what will happen for my clients. It's all different. Like, they come in for one reason, but it's usually a totally different result that really just gives them this amazing new leash on life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it sure does. So could you share with us maybe just a simple takeaway, simple nugget, since this is a simple steps you can do today, something that,
Yes.
we could just pick up and we could do that would help us release that stress response, help us, be able to maybe have a good night's sleep, and then we crave more. And so we want to find out more.
Yeah. So my method is 3 simple steps, and all 3 of the steps are equally important. The first is, what is your target? So let's say it's finally sleeping, like really getting good sleep. If that's your target, then I help you really get deep on why. Like, why is that important to you? So if sleep is the target, you've identified what it is you want. Sometimes to identify what you want, ask what you don't want. So target is the first step. Second step is triggers. What are those things throughout your day that are going to make you feel these emotions? Angry, anxious, annoyed, or ashamed. So those are the things I help you identify, like, oh, wow, I had no idea I get so annoyed about the dirty socks, or whatever the thing is, right?
Right.
Clutter, a sound. Like, my neighbor's husband got taken to the hospital yesterday. I heard the ambulance is coming in. I was working when all of a sudden, boom, siren.
Yeah.
So noises, smells, people's tone of voice can pop you. So watch for anything that makes you feel those emotions.
Yeah.
And especially if you want a good night's sleep, watch from the noon hour on. Like, see if you can really concentrate from noon on. And then if you start to feel any sort of tension in your body or in your mind, because one of those emotions is starting to happen, you have about 10 seconds from a resting heart rate to use one of these simple tools. And I'm going to give you, probably the most powerful tool I have is this starter tool. It's kind
Okay.
of funny.
Awesome.
It's called the Celebration Ferris Wheel. Some of your listeners may have heard it before. So it's a motion, because as an adult, I'm going to assume that most people, if you're on here, you're probably an adult. To get the adult brain to retrain, there's only 2 ways. And one of the ways is a large motion, because our bodies aren't used to doing that. So I have you do a big motion, because your brain is going to go, oh, something new here. And you'll actually start to create new neural pathways just by doing a motion. Secondly, it's funny, so you hopefully smile. And when you smile, the corners of your mouth go up, and that gives you a little hit of dopamine. Dopamine gets a bad rap because it's linked to addiction, but dopamine is required for all of your brain to really work well. So if you can get a little smile going, your brain is going to go, oh, you'll have a moment now to choose your response to whatever the trigger was. And then thirdly, it's going to change your posture, and I'll do it with you so you can feel it.
Okay.
So basically pretend there's a little Ferris wheel. So you're out of the rat race. We're out of the hamster wheel.
Okay.
We're behind it now, and you're just going to push it like that so it spins. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
So we're
push it
putting
up.
our arms in the air, right?
Okay.
Okay, so now Do it again, do it a little slower, push it up, and now leave them up there and come down with your arms to the side and don't move your ribs. And you'll notice that you elevated your posture a little bit.
I feel that.
And by the time your arms are down, it's like your posture is up a little more. And when that happens, it's like you're getting up and over your situation so you can choose your response instead of going down into the muck. So I have you make that motion, smile a little bit because it's silly, and then your posture is different. And all three of those are neuroscience tools that you can use to help break the fight or flight stress response. So it's kind of like a 3-in-1.
That's awesome. And it's like, it's almost like you're pushing up and it's like, hooray, hooray, you're making that, so I love that. I love that simple technique. That's wonderful.
So if you're driving, use one hand, okay?
Yeah. Or pull over.
And if you live with other human beings, please let them know what you're doing because, they're going to be wondering why you're like going like this.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you do, live with other people, they, we want to care, we care about each other. And so sharing what I've shared with you in this very short video, like share it with someone else. You have no idea how this one little thing could help someone in a really serious situation, feeling overwhelmed by something and they just go like this and they're like, oh, I think I can do this now. It's like, it's so amazing what starts to happen. So it sounds really simple, but you're complex. You've got habits of reaction that aren't just your own, they're generations old.
Right.
And so breaking those generational patterns, and even the ones we pick up, not just from our family, but peers and other people that we emulated. So we have a lot of habits of reaction that definitely pop us into fight or flight. And so, so I love helping people like just untangle all of that and get clear. And, I'm 10 years into using this on myself. It totally changed my life, my whole family's life. And using it on myself, I'm still finding triggers. Like I didn't realize that one certain smell is a trigger for me. Just found that one out recently. So it's a constant little game.
Wow. Now that's awesome. So let's elaborate just a little bit because we know, you and I know, maybe not everybody knows, but stress because of this plays that role in those chronic diseases. So can you share maybe an example or personal experience of things that maybe how your health has improved or how you maybe able to stop potentially a chronic disease from progressing or from starting, maybe have a family history, if diabetes is prevalent, and they ask those questions when you go into the doctor, does your mom have this? Does your dad have this? And we look at that generational. And so can you let's elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you. So all chronic disease is directly caused by stress hormones or exacerbated by them. So anything that's lasting through time, like diabetes, like cancer, like heart disease, any skin diseases, psoriasis, eczema, stress acne. So, I can't, like 10 years ago, I'd be very nervous to even get on camera very much because I had stress acne all over my cheeks. It would flare up and then go away and then flare up. And then I also had eczema all over my hands. So I'm a violinist, professionally trained violinist. And my first big competition when I was 13, this hand broke out in eczema. I suffered from that disease for 35 years, nonstop. No creams, no prescriptions, no diet fixed it. And I thought I was a fairly calm person because I'm a pretty good performer. Like I don't get upset about those kinds of things. Yeah. I get annoyed at a lot of things. That is my A. That's my secret shameful A. Right? So I'll put my hand up close here. Like I could never even wear a ring because this hand, the fingers were so bloated from the eczema and these knuckles were cracked and bleeding. And now my skin is completely healthy. My husband doesn't even believe this is my skin, like, cause it never felt like that before. And because I know your viewers are mostly women, and even if there's a guy on here, it's important because you love a woman. My breast tissues were always dense and fibrous my whole adult life. And my mother died of breast cancer at age 69. My Grammy had it, she lived to be 100. But there's probably a fairly high chance I had that BRCA2 gene. in 2010, I used this method on myself, and in 8 weeks' time, my breast tissues completely changed. Now, they changed so much, and I wished my mother was alive so I could have shown her, right? I mean, it was unbelievable, the change. And so I was with my 90-year-old mother-in-law, and I go, "You're the closest thing I have to mom now." So I like whip off my bra, and she goes, "Oh dear, they're so youthful." It was just, but I was crying. I mean, I was like, honestly, Melissa, I thought, am I saving my life? Am I saving my life by no longer releasing all these stress hormones time after time after time, all day long, for the most stupid things? Am I saving my life? And then I'd like to share how it helped one of my sons.
Yeah.
So one of my sons, he was 10 at the time, and he's a perfectionist, and everything has to be perfect. If he got one wrong on the state's capital test, he'd be banging his head on the table, like ballistically mad. And so he had a lot of anger going on. My hair's going crazy. A lot of anger going on. And none of us, like, I was about to have my psychologist friend start working with him, because I was like, this isn't going away. You know, it's getting worse. He's so driven to be so perfect, and he just gets so upset if anything doesn't go his way. And so all of a sudden I create this method. And of course I change, my husband changes, my kids, my older boys are loving it. So the little one starts doing it too. So fast forward, he was 10. When he was 17, now here he also thought he was horrible at math, like horrible. He ends up the top student at Elite Math and Science Center program, valedictorian of his class, national merit finalist. He's now at Columbia with over a 4-point. Like, what would have happened? And I don't share any of that to brag or anything. I'm just sharing what would have happened if that child had not ever overcome his anger.
Right.
He probably would have started doing some drugs because he feels so awful. To try and calm himself down, he's going to self-medicate.
Yep.
You know, who knows what that path would have been, but when Pressure Free came into his life, like, the path changed. So I work with a lot of adults, of course, a lot of business owners, CEOs, professionals, physicians, therapists take my course, but I also work with children. And I can't tell you how unbelievable it is. Like, the parents will say, finally, my child's talking to me again. You know, all the things that we go through in teenagehood. I have really strong memories about it all. So it's real easy for me to get into that mode with them and help them understand that it's really the stress hormones talking. That's not the true you. And when we can find the true you, no matter if it's an adult or a child, it's like, I don't know. I never want to go back to the old me. Let's put it that way.
Right. It's like new and improved and so much better.
Oh, and the stress acne. Like, I'm looking at my cheeks like, oh my God, you know, it's real skin.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's just amazing to me that such a simple technique can be can cause so much change within our body and our physical nature.
Yes. And you mentioned diabetes too. So I've spoken to diabetes conventions. The stress hormones cause 2 floods of sugar. Every time you stress about something, two different floods of sugar go out into the bloodstream. Glucose is released. And so does not have anything to do with food. So your pancreas has to work. You need insulin to handle both of those floods of sugar. But again, it didn't have anything to do with food. So add your food on top of that. And it's really the stress that is harming people. It's not so much the food. I know people who exercise beautifully, eat perfect diets, and the stress is the thing that's killing them. And it is called the silent killer. And we think of that being the heart. It does so much damage to the heart, but it does damage to everything, absolutely everything. And so when, you know, you can see the outer things, I lost pounds of stress fat in my upper torso. I mean, it just went away. And it was just like, wow, this is just incredible. So yeah, I never dreamed, to be honest, Melissa, I never dreamed that I would be helping people the way that I do now. And, I just thought I would be helping people perform well.
Yeah.
And now it's like, let's perform well making a sandwich.
Right.
Whatever that is, whatever those things are.
That's good. And that's amazing that you were able to take this from, a performance person who's like an artist, but yet we perform every day in every action.
We do, with every action. I used to be horribly clumsy in the kitchen. Like, being a violinist, if heat ever hits my hand, it's on the floor. Like, I'll pull something out of the oven, and if I nick, it's on the floor. I just drop it immediately. I don't think I've spilled or dropped or broken anything in years now. And I haven't been ill at all. And I used to get sick a lot, like all the colds and flus, knock on wood. But in 10 years, I've had 5 small ones, the first 3 in the first 2 years. So in 8 years, I've had 2 small colds. That's it. And I would get several colds a year. So to be healthy, you don't really know how much the pain is costing you until it's really gone. And then it's just like, wow, I never dreamed my life could be like this. I could have the energy that I have. I could wake up every morning feeling so beautiful and so happy. I mean, I never dreamed that. And I have a lot of clients who will say to me, I just want to feel happy again, Elle. I just want to feel happiness.
Yeah.
Like, it's just been so much anxiety and stress and worry, and I just want to feel happy again.
Yeah.
So,
and we should want to feel happy. And I think that, our society has condoned us that stress is normal. And there's a point where, for the fight or flight syndrome, stress is supposed to act in those emergency type situations. But what we've done is we have made it fire all day long. Yes. And unless we can come up with a way to reduce it, and I love this pressure-free method. And so let's if people want to learn more from you or to get in touch with you, let's talk about what you're offering, and there'll be a little link that they can click on to that. So let's talk about your 5-day jumpstart and how they can get to contact with you.
Sure. So I have built a little 5-day jumpstart for people. It's just a small little video and some content, but also it's going to come with some PDFs that are fillable. So you can start to really identify your targets and your triggers. And then I have some tools that I'll teach you in those videos. So you can really get a jumpstart on understanding what's really causing your stress. We have to acknowledge it. We have to see it before we can make a change. So I built a little 5-day gift for you. And you've got the link that you'll send to everybody. And if you ever want to learn more, I do a free strategy call at speakwithelle.com, which is my calendar. And I have a website, which is my name, or you can remember it by pressure-free.com. It's an easy way to get there too. So whenever you're feeling too much pressure, you just want to become pressure-free. And I do want to mention that word pressure. So challenge is great. We're going to encounter lots of pressures in our life. What I help you do is stay free of the release of the stress hormones, no matter what pressures are coming on you. So a lot of people say to me, well, I like pressure because it's going to make me into a diamond. Pressure is going to make me into a diamond. First of all, diamonds are dead. They're cold, and all they can really do is cut or shine, right?
Yeah.
I want you to be flexible. I want you to be able to handle anything that comes down the road. So that's kind of the differentiator with pressure free. Most of my clients are high achievers. They want more. They want to feel better. They want to look better. They want to achieve more in their life. And it doesn't matter if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a CEO of your company, whatever it is, we're built to create. We're built to allow our true potential to shine, to really come out. So that's what we do here at Pressure Free, and it's a lot. We have a lot of fun too. I'm not the whipping on you kind of coach, because that's very anti-pressure free.
Right. No.
And I'll tell you, I learned this from coaching my violin students. If I'm like on my violin students, they just play worse. So I built my tools all my years of teaching, because I've always taught someone. Even when I was an executive, I always shared my gifts as a violinist. I've been taught by amazing teachers, and I have to pass it on. But I did it in this beautiful way to help them not fear the mistake, not be afraid of failure, so they could really be successful. So
And
it's just
that's so good, because we need that. We need that, that encouragement and that love, and that, and there is that tough love, but yet, a lot of us as high performers, we put so much pressure on ourselves.
we do. I'll have parents who say, I'm trying not to put any pressure on my kid, but it's like, they're going to do it. Don't make it easier. They'll find a way to make it harder. They're built that way. They're designed to achieve. They're designed to make something happen in this world. And we need people like that. We need the leadership today to really take hold of things and allow themselves to really fulfill that destiny. And you can do it without all the stress, which is really just so cool to watch. It's really cool to watch.
That's phenomenal. I'm hooked. I'm very much intrigued by that. So I want to we'll wrap this up. So I just want to thank you for your time today, Elle. I really appreciate it. We'll have that link there for everybody. Just click it. It'll have Take Charge of Your Health /Elle. So you can click on that. And then we want to just make sure you stay tuned, because there's more great experts coming tomorrow who will have other things to say about how to take charge of your health. And so with that, we'll say goodbye. Thank you so much, Elle.
You're so